Okay, picture this. Deep in the New Mexico desert, there are these incredible ruins of a civilization that rose to amazing power 1,000 years ago. And then they just vanished. And right at the heart of their entire world was this one single brilliant blue stone. Today, we're going to crack the cold case of the Chacoan Turquoise. So this right here, this is Chaco Canyon. You know, between about 850 and 1150 AD, this place was the absolute political and spiritual center for the ancestral Puebloan people. These massive great houses you see, like this one, Pueblo Bonito, they were incredible feats of engineering. Get this, they were the largest buildings in all of North America until the 19th century. And inside those walls, well, that's where archaeologists found an absolute treasure.
You have to understand, for the Chacoans, turquoise wasn't just pretty jewelry. No, it was sacred. It was a symbol of wealth, of power, of their connection to the cosmos. And this quote really hits the nail on the head. They were part of a really, really long tradition. Basically, anywhere you find this precious blue stone, you're going to find evidence of people who were mining it for thousands of years.
And listen, when I say treasure, I really mean it. We're not talking about, a handful of beads here and there. No way. Archaeologists have dug up literally thousands of turquoise artifacts in this place. Everything from simple little pendants to these incredibly elaborate mosaics. And a whole lot of them were discovered in the burials of what looks to be a ruling class, an elite group of people.
But here's the big mystery. There are no major sources of turquoise anywhere in or even near Chaco Canyon. None. So for like 100 years, archaeologists have been scratching their heads, asking, how did a society with no wheels, no pack animals, how did they get so much of this precious stone? Where on earth did it all come from?
Okay, so to answer that, we first got to understand why this mystery was so tough to solve in the first place. For decades, this case went completely cold, and it was all because of some really fundamental problems with, stone forensics. Now, you might be thinking, well, can't you just match the color and the pattern of a bead from Chaco to a sample from a mine? And yeah, that sounds logical, but it's just not that simple. Turquoise is a total chemical chameleon. Look at this. This is a single piece from one mine in Nevada, and you can see how wildly its color and texture can change. That makes trying to match it by eye, well, it's completely unreliable.
So the first scientific attempts also hit a dead end. They tried analyzing the trace elements in the stone, but that was really inconsistent, mostly because weathering can totally change a stone's chemistry over time. And on top of that, a lot of the turquoise mines across the Southwest are in really similar kinds of rock, which means they have these frustratingly similar chemical profiles. It was a total geological dead end.
So for decades, the turquoise trail just went cold. To get back on the case, scientists needed a totally new kind of map, one that could actually read a chemical signature hidden deep, deep inside the stone itself.
And that breakthrough, well, it came from geochemistry. See, the key wasn't looking at what elements were in the stone. No, the secret was in the unique properties of the very atoms that make it up.
Okay, the secret ingredient here is something called isotopes. So let's break it down. Think about an element, like hydrogen. Most hydrogen atoms are super simple, just one proton. But every once in a while, one will have a neutron tagging along for the ride. It's still hydrogen, but it has a different weight. That heavier version, that's an isotope. All right, now this is where it gets really clever. It turns out that the ratio of heavy hydrogen to light hydrogen actually changes depending on where you are in the world. Things like your altitude, how far you are from the ocean. You can almost think of it like the local rainwater has a unique regional accent.
So here's how it all connects. Turquoise forms when that rainwater, with its unique accent, seeps into the ground and reacts with stuff like copper and aluminum in the rock. And as that stone crystallizes, it traps that water inside, locking in that isotopic accent forever. It basically creates a permanent, unchangeable geochemical fingerprint that can trace a stone right back to the very region where it was born.
So to read that fingerprint, scientists use this absolutely incredible machine. What it does is it fires a super tiny beam of ions at a microscopic spot on the turquoise, which lets it measure the stone's exact isotopic ratio. And the best part? They can trace the origin of these priceless, ancient artifacts without causing any visible damage at all.
Okay, so with this amazing new tool in hand, researchers went to work. They built a whole database of isotopic fingerprints from every known ancient turquoise mine in the Southwest. Then, they started testing the artifacts from Chaco Canyon itself. And the results? Well, they were about to completely redraw the map of the ancient world.
Now, the team was smart about this. They didn't just analyze artifacts from Pueblo Bonito right in the heart of the canyon. They also looked at other major Chacoan centers to the north, places like Aztec Ruin and Salmon Ruin. They were ready to start tracing all the connections.
So the first few matches came in, and they were pretty much what everyone expected, from the famous Cerrillo Hills mines right there in New Mexico. No surprise. But then, the data started pointing much, much further away. All of a sudden, they were finding matches to mines up in Colorado, hundreds of kilometers away.
And it just kept going. The results started to reveal the true, staggering scope of their reach. They found fingerprints that matched mines in central Nevada and even in the Halloran Springs area of California. Think about that. The Chacoans weren't just trading with their neighbors. They were the hub of a continental-scale network.
And the data revealed something even more complex. Just look at the difference here between Pueblo Bonito and Aztec Ruin. Pueblo Bonito, which was the main center of power, was pulling in turquoise from all over the place, including 5 pieces from way out in Nevada. But then you look at Aztec Ruin, a slightly later power center to the north, and it has zero connection to that Nevada source. What this suggests is that it wasn't just one big unified system. It was probably competing powers, each with their own distinct long-distance supply chains.
So knowing where the turquoise came from finally cracked the case. But in a way, it just opened up a whole new set of questions about the how and the why. Because this was never just about jewelry. This was about power.
I mean, how did they pull this off? How did they manage to transport raw stone and finished goods across hundreds and hundreds of kilometers of super rugged, arid terrain? You have to remember, we're talking about a society with no horses, no carts, no pack animals, nothing, just people walking.
Just try to picture it, crossing this landscape on foot. This would have required an unbelievable level of organization. Traders had to navigate all this terrain, deal with scorching heat, carry every single drop of water they needed, all while hauling this precious cargo. This wasn't a casual trip. It was a massive, highly coordinated effort.
So all of this evidence really throws a wrench in the simple idea of, small local groups just going out to get stone for themselves. The sheer scale of this network, the enormous distances involved, and the fact that most of the turquoise ends up in elite burials, it all points to something much more organized, what experts call a prestige goods system. It's very likely that a powerful central authority in Chaco Canyon controlled the entire supply chain, using this rare, sacred material to show off their power and to legitimize their rule.
So in the end, the turquoise tells an incredible story. It tells us that Chaco Canyon was the absolute, undisputed center of a huge world system. It reveals a society that had the power to command resources from clear across the continent. It shows us an elite who used these exotic goods to prove they were in charge. And these trade routes weren't just for moving rocks around. They were conduits for ideas, for culture, and for people, knitting the entire ancient Southwest together.
So, by reading the chemical fingerprints locked inside these little blue stones, we finally solved the mystery of where the turquoise came from. But in doing so, we've stumbled upon an even bigger question, haven't we? How could a society this organized, this powerful, and this well-connected just disappear? Well, that is a mystery for another time.